Saturn's rings are one of the most stunning sights in our solar system. They are made of countless icy particles ranging in size from dust grains to small mountains. Imagine a gigantic flat disk of ice and rock encircling a planet. That's what Saturn's rings are like. These rings are not solid objects. They are more like a cosmic highway with billions of individual particles, all orbiting Saturn together. The particles are constantly colliding and bumping into each other, creating a mesmerizing dance of motion. The rings are incredibly thin compared to their massive width. If you could shrink Saturn down to the size of a basketball, the rings would be about as thin as a sheet of paper. But despite their thinness, the rings are incredibly bright, reflecting sunlight back to Earth. This is why we can see them from so far away, even with a simple telescope. Now imagine that same breathtaking spectacle gracing our own planet. If Earth had rings like Saturn, our sky would be transformed into an awe-inspiring spectacle. Imagine looking up and seeing a giant luminous band stretching across the heavens. From the equator, the rings would appear as a bright arch spanning the sky from east to west. The arch would be widest at the horizon and gradually narrow as it rose overhead. As you move towards the poles, the rings would appear to tilt, becoming more horizontal. From high latitudes, the rings would form a breathtaking celestial bridge, stretching from one horizon to the other. And let's not forget about the shadows. The rings would cast dramatic shadows on Earth depending on the time of day and the position of the sun. Imagine seeing the shadow of the rings sweep across the landscape, darkening the day for a few moments. The presence of rings would also lead to some unique astronomical events. For instance, imagine the sun passing behind the rings. The rings would partially block out the sunlight, creating a spectacular ring-shaped eclipse. Unlike solar eclipses caused by the moon, which are brief and localized, these ring-shaped eclipses could last for hours and be visible across large portions of Earth. Imagine the sky darkening as the sun slowly disappears behind the ring, only to reappear hours later on the other side. The rings could also reflect sunlight onto Earth during the night, creating a second source of illumination. This ethereal glow would be much fainter than moonlight, but would still be noticeable, especially in areas far from city lights. This constant illumination could have a significant impact on nocturnal animals and plants, potentially altering their behavior and evolution. Imagine stepping outside on a clear night. Instead of a dark sky illuminated only by stars and the moon, you'd see a shimmering band of light arcing across the horizon. The rings would reflect sunlight back to Earth even at night, casting a soft, ethereal glow. This wouldn't be as bright as daylight, of course. Think of it more like a permanent twilight, adding a touch of magic to the night. This constant illumination could have a profound impact on life on Earth. Nocturnal animals, accustomed to darkness, would need to adapt. Plants might evolve differently in response to the extended daytime. The rings' reflection of sunlight could also affect Earth's temperature. While they wouldn't be as significant as the sun, they could potentially contribute to slight variations in climate, particularly in regions directly beneath the rings. Section 5. A climate in flux, the rings' influence. The rings' impact on Earth's climate is a complex issue. On one hand, they could reflect some sunlight away from Earth, potentially leading to a slight cooling effect. This could be significant, particularly in areas directly beneath the densest parts of the rings. On the other hand, the rings could also trap heat radiated from Earth, similar to the greenhouse effect. This trapped heat could contribute to a slight warming effect, counteracting the cooling effect of reflected sunlight. The net effect of these opposing forces is difficult to predict with certainty. It would depend on factors such as the density and composition of the rings, as well as the Earth's own climate system. However, one thing is certain: the presence of rings would make Earth's climate even more complex and dynamic than it already is. Section 6. Life finds a way. Adapting to a ringed Earth. Life on Earth is incredibly adaptable. Over billions of years, it has weathered countless changes and evolved to thrive in a wide range of environments. The introduction of Saturn's rings would undoubtedly pose challenges, but life would find a way to adapt. Animals that rely on camouflage for hunting or avoiding predators might develop new patterns or colors to blend in with the ring-shadowed environment. Birds that migrate long distances might need to adjust their routes to account for the altered patterns of daylight and darkness. Plants, too, would be affected. Species that thrive in sunlight might evolve to tolerate the dimmer conditions beneath the rings. Meanwhile, shade-loving plants might flourish in these areas, potentially leading to the emergence of new ecosystems. Section 7, Celestial Inspiration, Rings in Mythology and Culture. Throughout history, the heavens have been a source of wonder, inspiration, and fear for humanity. The celestial tapestry woven with stars, planets, and the moon has shaped our myths, religions, and art. Imagine the impact of adding Saturn's rings to that equation. Ancient civilizations would have incorporated the rings into their mythologies. They might have seen them as a celestial bridge, a cosmic serpent, or a divine halo. The possibilities are endless. The rings would also have influenced our art, literature, and music. Imagine Van Gogh painting Starry Night with the rings as a backdrop, or Shakespeare penning sonnets inspired by their ethereal beauty. Section 8. A new frontier, exploration and discovery. If Earth had rings, they would undoubtedly be a prime target for scientific exploration. Imagine launching probes and eventually even manned missions to study the rings up close. We could learn so much about the formation of our solar system, the dynamics of planetary rings, and the potential for life in other parts of the universe. The rings could even contain valuable resources that we could one day harvest. The presence of rings would also open up new possibilities for space travel. Imagine building space stations within the rings, using them as a base for further exploration of the solar system. The rings could even serve as a giant gas station for spacecraft, providing a source of water ice that could be used as fuel. Section 9, Our Ringed Home, A Final Thought. Having Earth adorned with Saturn's rings would undoubtedly be a sight to behold, a constant reminder of the universe's grandeur. It would change our world in countless ways, from our climate and ecosystems to our culture and mythology. While we can only imagine what it would be like to live on a ringed Earth, one thing is certain: it would be a truly awe-inspiring experience. It would foster a deeper appreciation for the cosmos and our place within it, reminding us that we are part of something far greater than ourselves. So the next time you gaze up at the night sky, take a moment to imagine Saturn's rings gracing our own planet. It's a beautiful and humbling thought.